Hi, my name is Leonardo Murillo, and I build cool stuff in AWS using products in AWS Marketplace. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be talking about industry trends, challenges, and how you can solve them. Today, I want to talk about generative AI, large language models, and RAG, which means retrieval augmented generation, all done in the cloud. Because unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you're all well aware of the Gen AI craze. It's easy to understand, right? The feats that are coming up from large language and multimodal models and the features that are being built with them and around them are just all inspiring. They're really revolutionary. They're changing how we see the world. And because of that, everybody out there is looking to jump in on this buzz, which means many organizations have built prototypes. They've built pilots. They've played around with concepts as to how they can both optimize their internal operations using Gen AI or provide revolutionary new features, new capabilities to users, to external users. And a lot of these concepts that are being piloted rely on RAG, retrieval augmented generation. And RAG is a very efficient and fast way to enrich the context, the knowledge that an LLM has access to, the data that it has access to in order to generate a response, right, to generate content. And it allows you to do that without the complexity and the usually very time-consuming process of the alternatives. For example, fine-tuning, which can be very much a trial and error process, and you got to figure it out over time. Or training, which means you need data sets that are properly prepared. You need a lot of compute capacity to train those models. And that's fine because for the most part, all those new features that are coming out that are using RAG as its underlying implementation are really being loved by users, and they've been really effective and value driving. So users are really digging into these different prototypes and pilots and the different concepts that are coming out. But what that means for the builders like myself and the teams that are operating those pilots and prototypes is that now they're basically sitting in front of the challenge of scaling those new services that they built, which were originally pilots, to the demands of a full production scale environment. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because there's also the need to find out how to accelerate the development and reduce the operational complexity of supporting all the infrastructure that is required for the services to actually run in a production environment. So some of the challenges are, RAG hinges on vector data and vector search, okay? And that means that you're actually storing numerical representations of your data. And you're using that data to run similarity searches, right? You're looking to find data that looks like, that can be related to the content that your large language model is using to generate its response. And you're going to need to do this over an ever-growing data set, because the more data that you add to the context of the RAG, the better the response that you're bringing your LLM, or you're being able to produce from your LLM. And this all needs to happen while keeping user interactive friendly response times, because your users are already used to a certain level of service from what you're giving them, what you're servicing to them, right? They already run queries whenever they use your service, whether it's to document storage, to object storage, relational databases. And you're building something that is also going to be user interactive. The user is going to make a request and they're going to be waiting there for a response. So you need to make sure that the response times that your vector search and your vector data repositories are providing are within that user-friendly, reasonable, expected time frame. And you'll also need to understand how similarity search is actually getting to the data that the LLM is using to produce a response. And this is critical because you really need to optimize those responses. The value is going to be driven by the content and what the user can extract from those capabilities that you're now bringing into production. And we all know that users are relentless and they're in need for new stuff all the time. And that means that the very same builders that are now trying to support and get these pilots into production, well, they also have to support the ongoing development of more feature requests. They are going to be started getting bug reports, etc., right? And that means more development work. That needs to be continuously pushed to production, and that has to happen safely, quickly. So I want to talk about two different technologies that are coming into play here that I think are really solving for these different challenges. One is Amazon Bedrock, and the other is Pinecone, the vector database. Together, they work in perfect harmony because Bedrock eliminates a gigantic percentage of the effort in getting LLM-based applications deployed and running with production readiness. And Pinecone basically does the same thing for the vector storage and vector search side of the house. Now, if you put all that together and you use features like agents for Bedrock that there's an article where you found this video that's going to talk to you a little bit more about that. You can very tightly integrate, say, Pinecone with your data from S3, and you're dramatically reducing the effort in keeping the representations of your data and vectors up to date. Because, of course, as your data evolves, you need to make sure that the vector representations of that data are up to date so that the responses that your LLM is producing are meaningful. And with Pinecone, you can actually easily observe and monitor how this data is stored, how this data is queried, and how this data is used. So I really encourage you to give it a try. For Pinecone, you can get it off AWS Marketplace by clicking on the link in the article where you found this video. And there's also the article where we talk about more details as to how these different services tie together. And we're going to be releasing a hands-on lab soon where you actually get to build this thing with me in AWS. So be on the lookout for it and use it as it comes out. It's going to be really cool. So hope to see you all very soon, and thank you so much.